You're sitting there, staring at your phone, hoping for a message that will never come. You keep refreshing, rereading old texts, thinking maybe if you'd done one thing differently, she would have stayed. That's the loop every broken man falls into, believing that the pain he's feeling is punishment. But it's not. Pain isn't here to destroy you. Pain is here to rebuild you. It's not the end, it's the beginning of power. When a woman leaves you, something in your soul cracks open. You start to see yourself differently. You start to realize how fragile your peace was, how easily your happiness depended on someone else's presence. That realization hurts, but it's the most valuable moment of your life. Because now you know what kind of man you were: soft, comfortable, dependent. You gave your strength away for affection. You handed over your power, thinking love meant surrender. And now, stripped of it all, you have no choice but to face the truth. The man you were wasn't built to last. Every great man you admire has been through this fire. Every one of them has had his heart ripped out, his trust shattered, his ego crushed. But they didn't stay down. They didn't let pain define them. They used it. They turned every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of agony into fuel. Because pain is pure energy. You can either drown in it or you can forge yourself with it. The difference between the broken and the unstoppable is how they respond to pain. Most men run from it. They numb it with distractions, alcohol, parties, meaningless women, endless scrolling, pretending they don't care. But that's not healing. That's hiding. Pain doesn't go away when you ignore it. It festers. It becomes resentment, self-doubt, weakness. You can't escape it. You have to face it. You have to sit in it, feel every ounce of it, and then decide to use it as your weapon. The man who learns to master pain becomes untouchable because nothing can break him again. Pain forces you to grow. It demands change. It pushes you to the edge of your limits and makes you realize you can go further. When you're broken, you finally have clarity. You see how much time you wasted seeking validation, how much of your energy went into pleasing someone instead of improving yourself. Pain strips away illusion. It reveals who you really are. It's brutal, but it's honest. And that honesty is what gives birth to transformation. In your weakest moment, when everything seems to be falling apart, your power is being born. The gym becomes your therapy. The grind becomes your escape. The discipline you build out of pain becomes your new identity. You stop chasing comfort because comfort betrayed you. You start chasing growth, control, and purpose. Pain forces you to stop waiting for life to give you peace and start creating your own. That's what separates men who stay broken from men who rise. You don't need to move on. You need to evolve. You don't need her back. You need your strength back. You need your focus, your edge, your drive. Heartbreak gives you the chance to rebuild yourself from scratch, brick by brick, stronger than before. You start waking up earlier, training harder, working longer. You channel every bit of anger, frustration, and sadness into progress. Because pain, when controlled, is power in its purest form. The truth is, pain is the only thing that wakes men up. Comfort makes you weak. Happiness makes you complacent. Pain forces you to act. It's nature's way of reminding you that you're alive, that you have more to give, that you've been playing small. When she left, she didn't just take your love, she took your illusions. She exposed your softness. And now, you have the opportunity to rebuild yourself as the man you were always meant to be, a man who doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't break. A man who turns pain into purpose. A man who becomes the storm instead of hiding from it. You thought she was the reason you were happy. You thought she completed you, that she was the missing piece. You built your entire emotional world around her, and when she left, it all collapsed. That's not love, that's attachment. That's dependency. And that's the exact reason you're broken right now. The truth is, your pain didn't come from losing her. It came from losing the illusion that you needed her to feel whole. Attachment is a drug. It gives you highs so intense that you ignore the withdrawal that's waiting for you. You become addicted to the dopamine, the attention, the validation. You start to believe that without her, you have no meaning. You start to rely on her texts to feel wanted, her words to feel seen, her presence to feel valuable. And then, when it's gone, you feel empty, not because you lost love, but because you lost the source of your self-worth. That's the poison of attachment. It disguises itself as affection, but it's dependency. Men lose themselves in relationships because they forget who they were before it started. You had dreams, ambitions, goals, and somewhere along the way you traded them for comfort. You started shaping your life around her instead of your mission. You made her the center of your world when you were supposed to be the center of yours. And now, you're paying the price. But this is your chance to take that power back. Because the man who masters detachment is unstoppable. When you attach yourself to something outside of you, a person, an outcome, a feeling, you give it power over you. You hand it the keys to your emotions. You give it the authority to decide when you're happy and when you're broken. That's not strength, that's surrender. A real man doesn't base his identity on who loves him. His value doesn't fluctuate depending on whether someone stays or leaves. His peace isn't rented, it's owned. When you become detached, you don't stop caring, you just stop needing. You stop letting other people's actions dictate your worth. You stop begging for validation. You start focusing on what you can control: your mind, your body, your mission. You learn to be grounded in yourself, no matter who walks in or out of your life. That's what true freedom feels like. That's what real power is. Most men think love means losing yourself in someone. But love without boundaries isn't love, it's weakness. If your entire identity disappears the moment someone leaves, that wasn't love, it was obsession. And obsession without purpose destroys you. You start checking your phone every 5 minutes. You scroll through her social media, torturing yourself, feeding your anxiety. You relive moments, replay conversations, trying to find meaning in her silence. That's not strength, that's slavery. You've given your emotions to someone who no longer deserves them. Detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you start controlling what you feel. It means you stop reacting and start observing. It's the ability to say, yes, this hurts, but it won't define me. It's looking at the pain and saying, I'll use this. Because once you learn to detach from what's outside of you, you gain control over what's inside you. And when you control your mind, no one can ever break you again. When she left, she didn't take your power, you gave it away. You built your peace around someone else's presence. But the moment you stop doing that, the moment you build your peace within yourself, no one can ever take it again. Detachment is the art of standing tall when everything around you falls apart. It's the discipline of not chasing what left, not begging what's gone, and not clinging to what's over. You have to understand, no one completes you. No one fills your void. You complete yourself. You fill that void with purpose, with discipline, with growth. Because when a man finds peace within himself, love becomes a choice, not a need. He doesn't chase it, he attracts it. And even if it leaves, he doesn't crumble, because his foundation isn't built on someone else's approval. It's built on strength. It's built on control. It's built on him. So stop worshiping what left. Stop romanticizing your pain. Stop calling your dependency love. Learn to detach, not because you're cold, but because you're strong. The man who can love deeply without losing himself, who can walk away without falling apart, who can let go and still keep moving forward, that's a man who can't be broken. Pain, the word itself, makes people flinch. Everyone runs from it, hides from it, avoids it like it's poison. But pain isn't your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. It's the raw, unfiltered truth that life throws in your face when you start living too comfortably. When she left, it hurt deeply. That kind of pain burns through your chest, makes it hard to breathe, makes every song, every memory, every empty room feel like a reminder of what you lost. But here's what most men never understand: pain is a message. It's life's way of saying, wake up. You got too comfortable. You forgot who you are. The world doesn't reward comfort. It rewards growth. And growth only comes through pain. You can't become unbreakable if you've never been broken. You can't become disciplined if you've never been tested. You can't build strength sitting in comfort. When she left, you were handed a lesson, not a curse. That heartbreak wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to rebuild you. But only if you let it. Because pain doesn't automatically make you stronger. It either breaks you or builds you, depending on how you respond. Look at the strongest men in history. None of them became powerful because life was kind to them. They became powerful because life tested them, crushed them, and they refused to stay down. Pain carved them into warriors. Every scar was a reminder of a battle they survived. Every heartbreak was fuel for their evolution. That's what pain does. It strips away everything fake, everything weak, until only the real remains. And when you're left standing there with nothing but your willpower, that's when you meet the real you. When you're in pain, you see your truth, you see your habits, your fears, your weaknesses. You realize how much of your happiness was built on temporary things: her attention, her affection, her presence. Pain exposes where you've placed your power. It shows you exactly where you've been lazy, emotional, and dependent. And that's a gift, because now you can fix it. You can rebuild yourself without illusions. You can create a version of yourself that doesn't need validation to feel alive. Every time you run from pain, you miss a lesson. You stay trapped in the same cycle. You jump from one distraction to another: new relationships, new pleasures, new ways to escape. But when you finally face your pain, when you sit with it and ask, "What are you trying to teach me?" that's when transformation begins. Pain teaches patience. Pain teaches awareness. Pain teaches control. Because when you've suffered and survived, you stop fearing life. You stop fearing loss. You stop fearing rejection. You realize you've already felt the worst and you're still here. Pain is also the ultimate motivator. Nothing wakes up a man like heartbreak. Nothing fuels self-improvement like being betrayed, abandoned, or forgotten. Because deep down, something inside you says, never again. Never again will I give someone the power to break me. Never again will I let my emotions control me. Never again will I live weak. And in that moment, pain transforms into fire. It pushes you to hit the gym harder, to wake up earlier, to build more, earn more, become more. You turn every ounce of that suffering into discipline. That's what most men never understand. Pain doesn't go away when you run from it. It goes away when you learn from it, when you channel it, when you decide that the only way forward is through. Because every time you face your pain, you grow. Every time you conquer it, your threshold increases. Things that used to break you start feeling small. You begin to realize that the world can't hurt you the same way twice, not when you've already mastered your own suffering. You see, pain creates contrast. Without it, joy means nothing. Without struggle, victory feels empty. Without heartbreak, love feels shallow. You need the darkness to appreciate the light. You need loss to value loyalty. You need pain to discover power. That's why the strongest men aren't the ones who've avoided suffering, they're the ones who've embraced it. So when it hurts, when your chest feels heavy and your thoughts won't stop racing, remember, this is the classroom. This is where you learn what comfort never could. This is where you find your limits and then break them. This is where you evolve from a boy who reacts to a man who controls. Because pain, no matter how sharp, is temporary, but the lessons it teaches last forever. And if you can endure it, if you can look it in the eye without backing down, then there's nothing, not heartbreak, not loss, not betrayal, that can ever control you again. You think she rejected you, right? You think she walked away, left you behind, replaced you, and that means you weren't enough. That's what your emotions want you to believe. But the truth is, rejection isn't the end, it's redirection. It's life taking you by the shoulders, shaking you, and saying, you're going the wrong way. You didn't lose her, you were released from what was holding you back. Every rejection you've ever faced, from a woman, a job, a friend, a goal, it was never punishment. It was protection. But you couldn't see that while you were drowning in emotion, could you? Because you were too focused on what you lost to notice what was waiting for you ahead. Every time someone walks out of your life, it creates space. Space for growth. Space for better opportunities, space for the version of you that's been trapped underneath comfort and attachment. Rejection is life's way of forcing you to evolve. Think about it, if she stayed, you wouldn't have changed. You would have stayed comfortable, predictable, dependent. You would have built your days around her validation instead of your own purpose. Sometimes the universe needs to take something from you to wake you up. Because without loss, you'd never move. Without pain, you'd never push forward. Without rejection, you'd never discover what's actually meant for you. When she left, it wasn't about her being the one. It was about teaching you to stop making someone else the center of your universe. It was about showing you that your happiness cannot depend on another person's presence, because as long as it does, you'll always be at their mercy. That's not love, that's dependency. That's weakness. And rejection kills that weakness. It breaks the illusion. It forces you to rebuild from within. Rejection isn't failure, it's feedback. It's the world saying, you can do better. You deserve more. But first, you must become more. If she rejected you, ask yourself, were you truly living at your full potential? Were you the man you know you can be? Or were you slipping, settling, coasting? Most men get rejected because they stopped growing. They got lazy. They stopped leading. They became comfortable. Rejection shows you exactly where you went soft in your mindset, your focus, your purpose. It's a mirror reflecting everything you refused to see while you were lost in comfort. The problem is most people don't learn. They take rejection personally instead of powerfully. They let it crush them instead of push them. They use it as proof they're not enough instead of proof they were aiming too low. You can either be the man who cries about what he lost or the man who gets up and builds something better. Because while one man sits broken, another uses that same rejection as fuel to evolve. Every redirection has a purpose. That woman leaving you, it might have saved you from a life of mediocrity. That job you didn't get, it might have freed you to start something on your own. That friendship that faded, it might have cleared space for real ones. You won't understand it while it's happening, but later when you're stronger, more focused, and unshakable, you'll look back and realize it all made sense. That pain was never the end, it was the beginning of your transformation. The truth is, rejection is one of life's most powerful filters. It removes the distractions, the fake connections, the temporary people. It leaves you surrounded only by what's real, your purpose, your vision, your mission. When you stop fearing rejection, you become unstoppable. Because what can the world take from a man who isn't afraid to lose? A man who knows every no only gets him closer to his yes. A man who understands that every door that closes just directs him toward the right one. Rejection builds resilience. It kills entitlement. It breeds hunger. It sharpens focus. It teaches you to depend on yourself, to trust your instincts, to lead your own path. That's why the most successful men in the world aren't the ones who've never been rejected. They're the ones who've been rejected the most and kept going anyway. They turned rejection into redirection, redirection into momentum, and momentum into mastery. So when she walks away, when they tell you no, when you face failure after failure, don't ask, why me? Ask, where is this taking me? Because it's always taking you somewhere higher, sharper, and stronger. You just have to stop clinging to what was and start walking toward what will be. Rejection doesn't mean you weren't enough. It means you've outgrown where you were. It means life is pushing you toward the next level. It means the universe is done letting you settle for average. And once you understand that, you stop fearing rejection entirely, because you finally realize it's not rejection at all. It's redirection toward the man you were always meant to become. Let's be real, you keep asking, why did she leave? But that's not the real question. The real question is, who were you when she decided to go? Because women don't leave the man they truly respect. They might leave the one they outgrew, the one who stopped chasing his mission, the one who started seeking comfort instead of progress. You want to make sure that never happens again. Then stop trying to get her back and start becoming the man she could never walk away from, not because she's trapped, but because your presence is too powerful, your energy too magnetic, and your purpose too big to ignore. Every man wants loyalty, but few understand that loyalty is earned through leadership. You can't beg someone to stay, you have to give them a reason they never want to leave. That starts with control, not over her, but over yourself. Control over your emotions, your habits, your focus. Because the moment you lose control of those, you lose control of your life. Women can feel that. They can sense when you're drifting, when you've lost your edge, when you're no longer the man who once inspired them. And that's when they start pulling away. You can't fake strength. You can't fake purpose. You either live it or you don't. You want to become the man she can't leave. Build a life so solid that her absence doesn't shake it. A kingdom so powerful that her leaving doesn't collapse it. Because the truth is, Most men build their world around a woman instead of their mission. They put her at the center, make her their reason, their fuel, their everything, and when she leaves, everything falls apart. But real men build their world first, their empire, their vision, their discipline. And then a woman becomes a part of that world, not the foundation of it. That's the difference between dependency and dominance. When a man is truly on his mission, he becomes magnetic. He doesn't chase validation, he creates it. He doesn't need love to feel complete. He becomes so complete that love becomes a bonus, not a necessity. That's what makes women respect him. Because deep down, they don't want to lead, they want to follow a man who knows where he's going. They don't want to be your purpose, they want to join your purpose. But if you have no direction, if your life has no momentum, then you leave a vacuum, and that's when chaos enters. You can't just look powerful, you have to be powerful. You have to wake up every day with intention, attack every goal with aggression, and carry yourself with discipline. Your standards have to become unshakable. No laziness, no emotional weakness, no comfort zone. You must become a man who can't be moved, not by heartbreak, not by failure, not by rejection. Because that's when you evolve from being a man who needs validation to being a man who commands respect. And respect lasts far longer than attraction. Think about it every time you've lost someone. What hurt the most wasn't the loss itself. It was realizing how much of your identity depended on their presence. You lost focus, and with it, you lost power. But once you rebuild yourself, once you commit to your mission, once you start improving every single day, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, you become unstoppable. You stop worrying about who leaves or stays because you know your value doesn't change with their opinion. You become a man with gravity. People orbit around your purpose naturally. Becoming that man means cutting out weakness. It means no longer living on autopilot, no longer wasting your energy on distractions. It means having clear principles, loyalty, discipline, resilience, dominance. It means doing what most men won't, showing up when you don't feel like it, pushing harder when it hurts, and choosing growth over comfort every single time. That's what makes you untouchable. That's what builds a presence no one forgets. You'll know you've become that man when her leaving no longer breaks you, it builds you. When instead of chasing her, you chase your potential. When instead of begging for love, you command respect. Because in that moment, you've flipped the script. You're no longer the one left behind. You're the one moving forward. You're the man she'll think about when she's with someone else. The man she'll regret walking away from. The man whose silence speaks louder than her absence ever could. That's the ultimate revenge, not anger, not sadness, not chasing. The ultimate revenge is evolution. It's transformation. It's showing the world and yourself that you've become so strong, so focused, so self-assured that no one can shake your peace again. You become the man who doesn't just attract, he commands. The man who doesn't just survive heartbreak, he uses it as fuel to build an empire. Because in the end, it's not about getting her back. It's about never losing yourself again. There comes a point where you've been through enough pain, enough rejection, enough betrayal, that something inside you snaps, but not in weakness, in power. You stop breaking. You stop crumbling every time life punches you in the chest. You stop giving people the power to destroy your peace. That's when you become a man who can't be broken again. Because once you've seen the worst, once you've felt the sharpest pain and survived it, everything after that becomes light work. You realize that the pain didn't destroy you, it transformed you. It built armor over your heart, not to block love, but to protect your focus. The truth is, life will always test you. People will disappoint you, women will leave you, plans will fall apart. You can't control that. What you can control is how you respond. Weak men react, strong men adapt. Weak men crumble, strong men rebuild. You want to be unbreakable. Then you must stop living emotionally. You must stop letting feelings dictate your actions. Feelings are temporary. Discipline is eternal. The man who moves on discipline, not emotion, cannot be controlled. He cannot be manipulated. He cannot be broken. When she left, It hurt because you gave her too much of your identity. You gave her access to your emotions, your confidence, your peace. Never again. Never again do you hand over the keys to your happiness. Never again do you let another person define your worth. The unbreakable man understands that happiness comes from purpose, not people. From progress, not validation. From knowing you can survive anything and not just survive, but rise from it sharper, wiser, stronger. Being unbreakable doesn't mean you're heartless. It means you've mastered your heart. You feel pain, but you don't let it control you. You experience loss, but you don't let it slow you down. You get knocked down, but you get back up before the world even realizes you fell. That's real strength, not pretending to be invincible, but becoming unstoppable. The man who's been broken and rebuilt himself is the most dangerous kind of man, because now there's nothing left to take from him. He's seen the worst, faced it, and turned it into fuel. Every man faces two choices after heartbreak: become bitter or become better. Most choose bitterness. They carry resentment. They distrust everyone. They build walls out of fear. But the rare few choose better. They turn pain into power, loneliness into focus, rejection into motivation. They stop waiting for someone to save them and realize they are their own savior. That shift changes everything. Once you accept that no one is coming to fix your life, you start fixing it yourself. That's when you become unstoppable. You stop chasing temporary pleasures because they no longer fill the void purpose does. You stop needing attention because you found peace in solitude. You stop fearing loss because you finally understand that nothing truly meant for you will ever require you to lose yourself. The unbreakable man moves differently. He's calm in chaos, confident in silence, patient in the process. He doesn't panic when people leave. He doesn't react to insults. He doesn't seek validation because he knows who he is, and that knowledge is his shield. Becoming unbreakable means becoming brutally honest with yourself. It means facing your flaws head on, taking accountability for your failures, and doing whatever it takes to rise. It means cutting out weakness mentally, physically, emotionally. It means putting yourself through discipline every day so that no pain, no rejection, no betrayal can ever shake your foundation again. You train your mind to stay solid under pressure, your emotions to stay steady in loss, your body to endure exhaustion. Because the moment you master yourself, you master life. The world respects the man who cannot be broken. Because he's not led by the noise, he's led by his mission. He doesn't fold when things get tough, he thrives in difficulty. He's not scared of being alone, he uses solitude as a weapon. Every failure, every heartbreak, every disappointment becomes part of his armor. That's how warriors are built, through scars, through battles, through surviving what was meant to destroy them. You want to never be broken again, then stop fearing pain. Stop avoiding struggle. Stop expecting ease. The stronger you become, the less you expect the world to be gentle with you, because you no longer need it to be. You've turned pain into power, loss into wisdom, heartbreak into hunger. You've become the kind of man who can stand in the middle of chaos and still move with clarity, still lead, still win. That's the man no one can break, because he doesn't depend on the world for strength. He creates it from within. He's walked through the fire, and now he carries the flame. The same pain that once broke him now fuels him. The same heartbreak that once weakened him now hardens his resolve. He doesn't just survive anymore, he dominates. He lives every day knowing he's been tested, forged, and refined by struggle. Because once you've been broken and rebuilt by your own hands, you'll never fear breaking again. Heartbreak, pain, rejection, betrayal, these are the fires that forge real men. Every moment you thought would destroy you was actually preparing you, shaping your strength, sharpening your mind, and awakening the warrior within. You see, she didn't break you, she revealed you. She exposed where you were soft, where you depended too much, where you forgot your own power. And once you faced that, once you rebuilt yourself from the ashes, you became something no one can take down again. You now understand that pain isn't punishment, it's the price of evolution. Rejection isn't the end, it's redirection. Losing someone doesn't mean you lost your worth, it means life cleared space for your rise. Every scar, every silent night, every tear you held back became part of your foundation. You're no longer the man who needs to be loved to feel valuable. You're the man who creates value wherever he stands. The world respects the man who has been tested and didn't fold. The man who faced heartbreak and turned it into hunger. The man who used pain as fuel, rejection as motivation, and solitude as power. You've learned that strength isn't about avoiding pain, it's about embracing it, mastering it, and using it to build something greater. Now, you don't chase love. You don't beg for attention. You don't fear loss. You focus on purpose. You live with discipline. You walk with confidence. You lead with power. Because once you've been broken and rebuilt, you don't fear being alone. You fear wasting your potential. So let her go. Let the pain go. Let the past go. You've already survived what was meant to destroy you. Now it's time to rise, not as the man you were, but as the man you were always meant to become. Unbreakable, unstoppable, untouchable.